What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, and I am back with another installment of Historical Commander, or History as Commander, where I take real historical figures and I turn them into commanders and then build decks around them, and then also give historical information about the individuals that we land on. And I do this because, one, I love history. Two, Magic the Gathering already borrows extremely heavily from real-world cultures and peoples, from Egypt to the steppe peoples of Central Asia and Western China, even to, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms when we had Portal 3K. And so what I do here is I'm going to spin this wheel, and it's going to land on some, and I've got more to make, and those will be, that will be the person that I do the episode for. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel, shall we? I always like having this nice relaxing music with it. Goes and goes and goes. All right, we have Scipio Africanus. I will be back here in a moment with the history portion of the video. Alrighty, and I am back with the history portion of Historical Commander. And today we have, in modern English, would probably be pronounced Scipio Africanus. However, in the original Latin, it would be Scipio Africanus, Rome's Reckoning. And Scipio Africanus gained Africanus as a honorific once he defeated Hannibal Barca at the Battle of Zama, thus ending the Second Punic War. Scipio was a general who survived, one of the very, very few Roman officers to survive the disastrous Battle of Cannae. Cannae was a battle, a high water mark for Hannibal and his armies, where he lined up his troops and had his least experienced troops and lightest troops in the middle, his veterans on either flank. And then as the Romans came in their tightly packed formations, the line slowly inverted and went like this, so that way the Romans were bowing inwards, and then they enveloped them and flanked while their cavalry came from behind and slaughtered them. This battle is still taught in military academies today because of how ingenious it was. But after he survived that, he was eventually put in charge of the conquest of the Spanish holdings, or the Iberian Peninsula holdings of the Carthaginian Republic. And when he went there, he did a very good job at sieging and taking many areas, including a masterclass in amphibious warfare, where he landed troops and took the very, very large, very prominent Carthaginian holding, Carthago Nova. Is how it would be pronounced in Latin, because V's were W's, but Carthago Nova, or New Carthage, and he took that, and then eventually, like I said, he met Hannibal Barca at the Battle of Zama. Now he kind of, I wouldn't want to say he didn't completely reinvent the legionary system, but he did kind of reform his legionnaires to be much more adaptable and much more mobile and maneuverable. And at the Battle of Zama, the Romans had been fighting against war elephants now that the Carthaginians had for quite some time. And he got it to where the soldiers moved and created spaces for the war elephants to go through, because much like panicked horses, they're not going to try, if there's a route where they don't have to trample somebody in a terrified panic, they're not going to. And so the elephants passed by the Roman cohorts without causing significant losses, and then he went and he defeated Hannibal here, and that was the end of the Second Punic War. And to tell you just how large scale and how dire and how very committed to defeating Rome, or Carthage, Rome was, there was Cato the Elder, who was actually Scipio's primary political rival, and he would end every speech in the Senate with Carthago delenda est, which means Carthage must be destroyed. That was like their North Star, because Carthage brought Rome very close to the brink for quite some time. And after the war, he was given this honorific of Scipio Africanus, Scipio of Africa. And then, he's famous for one quote of, "I would rather save the life of one citizen than kill 1,000 enemies," which kind of speaks to his character. But he didn't have a great time after the war. I mentioned Cato the Elder. His political rivals just went at him hard, ruining his political reputation, having people essentially accuse him of being corrupt. And then he went into self-imposed exile. He left Rome, and he spent his remaining years at his home in Liternum. And he, on his tomb, if this tells you how angry and upset he was, on his tomb, the translation goes, "In grateful fatherland, you shall not even have my bones." So, he realized what he did for the Roman Republic at the time and saw them as ungrateful. And so, how did I want to represent Scipio Africanus, Rome's Reckoning, as a card? Well, he's going to be a little bit on the expensive end. He's going to cost 6. He's a 5/4 with first strike, and he has Battle of Zama. Whenever Scipio blocks or becomes blocked by a creature with greater power, exile that creature at end of combat. So, he's a 5/4, so he is out there ready to take on the big things. Like with my friend Mitch, he makes massive Kresh creatures. He makes his Kresh massive and things like that. And then whenever a creature an opponent controls leaves the battlefield during combat, create 2 tapped 1/1 red Legionnaire tokens. Tapped because they were already in battle. They're getting ready to go. They'll be able to be used on the next turn. So he's a lower power commander, right? If I had them, I could have done. I went through some iterations where it was 3 untapped tokens, but I went with 2 tapped tokens, and he has first strike, like I said. So that is the history and card design portion, and now we'll get over to the deck build and then playtesting. See you in a minute. All right, and we are back here now with the build, and so I'm going to be very honest with you. I kind of went back and forth what kind of build I wanted to do. So I went with a hybrid of a little bit of Voltron, a little bit of token generation, and a little bit of sort of like removal, well, heavy removal here. As you can see, we're running 18 pieces of removal. The goal here is to generate as many Legionnaires as possible, while also smashing face with Scipio, and then just beating people's faces in. We have Mjolnir in here and Captain America's shield. I'd say Scipio was worthy of wielding the Mjolnir in this instance. They were chilling, and he survived a battle, and for the most part was seen as a pretty honorable dude on the whole. But back then, history was written by the victors, because the losers often didn't get to write anything because they were no longer in existence. We do have Captain America's shield. For Anthem effects, we have Blade Historian. Attacking creatures get double strike. Flowering of the White Tree. I love this card. Play this card more, friends. Glory of Warfare. As long as it's your turn, your creatures get +2/+0. And as long as it's not your turn, creatures you control get +0/+2. Since he blocks or becomes blocked. Hammer of Perforos gives your stuff haste. Intangible Virtue, your creatures, your tokens are going to get +1/+1. Rising of the Day, your stuff has haste. Spear of Heliod, your creatures get +1/+1. We have Authority of the Councils to tap down our opponents. This is the best way I could represent how he kind of circumvented the elephant cavalry of the Carthaginians during the Battle of Zama. We have ourselves some burn. We have Lightning Strike and Impact Tremors, since we're going to be creating a bunch of little dudes. Having Impact Tremors is fine. Cathar's Crusade is in here as well. Now for creatures, oh, there's several creatures in here. I'm still getting used to Architect. One day I will be like very used to it. I don't know why Erode went into the instant category when it needs to be in the removal category. But we do have Adeline in here. We have Bastion Protector, which gives our Scipio indestructible. We have ourselves Iroas. We have Gisela in here. And creatures of that nature. We do have some mana ramps since he is expensive. We have Soul Ring, Mind Stones, Talisman of Conviction, Felwar Stone, Boros Signet, Arcane Signet. We did put Endurial, Flame of the West in here, or Endural. So he gets +3/+1, and whenever a equipped creature attacks, create 2 1/1 white spirit tokens with flying. If that creature's legendary, 2 of those tokens are tapped and attacking. Anointed Procession to double the amount of legionaries that we're going to make. We have Karlach in here to help give us extra combats. Super Soldier Serum, +2/+2, has First Strike and Vigilance and is legendary. So in addition, I see us as getting probably less of the Battle of Zama triggers and more of the secondary one whenever a creature leaves the battlefield during combat. So we are packing, we're going to use the term a shit ton of removal. For everything from like the low end, Lightning Strike, Chaos Warp, Condemn, Dispatch, which if you have Metalcraft from your Mana Rocks and other stuff, it's going to exile a creature. Entrapment Maneuver, Erode, Fateful Absence, Generous Gift, Get Lost, Justice Strike, Lightning Helix, Path to Exile, Razorgrass Ambush, Reprisal, Slash of Light, Stroke of Midnight, Swords to Plowshares, Thunder Magic, Untimely Malfunction, and Wing Shards. Wing Shards I like because if an opponent plays multiple spells before they bring in the attack, you can storm and make them sacrifice a whole bunch of dudes, which is going to generate a ton of Legionnaires for you. We also have ways to protect. We have Mithril Coat and Swiftfoot Boots in here for protection onto our Scipio. We have Unbreakable Formation to give our stuff indestructible. Flawless Maneuver, Flare of Fortitude, Duty Beyond Death is in here. Brave the Elements is in here. Boros Charm, I already mentioned Bastion Protector, and Akroma's Will, which can both be a protection spell and a kill condition. We're going to revolve very, very, very heavily around our commander here. So getting him into play and doing the things we need to do. Adeline and the other stuff are kind of support. But that is the build. Let's go ahead and take a gander at what we get for an Architect opening hand. And hopefully it's better than what Moxfield usually gives me. 3 lands. You know what? I can keep this. So, I'm going to zoom in here by 1, so that way we can see a little better. Turn 1, we draw. I'm going to put down the Wind-Scarred Crag, so we will gain 1 life. Look at that. We gain 1 life. Next turn, we're going to go in, and we're going to play our Plains. And we're going to play Authority of the Consuls. Next turn, Mountain. We can afford to sit here for a while because we have a whole bunch of removal packages in here. Next turn is turn 4. I'm going to drop a Plains. And then I'll be right back, friends. Okay, so this turn, we are going to play Blade Historian. So attacking creatures we control have double strike. Next turn, let's go ahead and... Let's chill. Next turn, we're gonna play the Mind Stone. Man, we are not getting the lines that we need. We're gonna Path to Exile. I might. Do we Path to Exile our own Blade Historian so we can run out Scipio? Sure, we're going to do that. Search library. Let's grab a mountain. And then we're going to shuffle our library. That comes into play tapped. Next turn. We're going to play Scipio Africanus. Next turn, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to play Anointed Procession. Now, we're going to attack. And since we're attacking, we're going to say that's... we are going to do this. We're going to Justice Strike and have the creature that would block him deal damage equal to itself. Equal to its power to itself. And so it leaves the battlefield. So we are going to get... can I just... We're going to use human tokens. So we have 2 tapped Legionnaires. Alright, not bad. But it would double those amount of tokens. So then we create 2 copies. So we have 4 Legionnaires. Next turn, we untap. And we just have a whole bunch of stuff that we can do that now protects our stuff. It took us a little bit to get online, so it's like a lower bracket deck, obviously. But, you know, I'm going to put Super Soldier Serum on him, so he becomes a 7/6. We don't have any equipment to put on him right now, but, you know, still good. Go ahead and swing away, Meryl. We go ahead and swing. And what we're going to do is... we're going to save this. And we are going to Slash of Light someone's creature during our combat phase, which is then going to get us 4 more tapped Legionnaires. So we have a bunch of Legionnaires doing Legionnaire things. Great times had by all. This and this Legionnaire sort of like strategy is to represent the amount of manpower that was going to be devoted to defeating Carthage in the Second Punic War. I don't know, for those of you who don't know about the Second Punic War between Rome and Carthage, Rome lost a lot. I mean, a lot of soldiers during that time. The Battle of Cannae and other things, like you'd see casualty numbers 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 dying, and they would still raise more. And that's absurd if you think about it, right? Like the town I live in has like 10,000 people. We don't even have enough to have that many. Like, and a legion was like something like 5,500 total soldiers. Just absolutely insane, the casualty rates. And then during our turn, or during an opponent's turn, we're going to have to Duty Beyond Death. We're going to sacrifice this tapped Legionnaire. Each of my dudes is going to get a +1/+1 counter on them. And then they're going to be indestructible until end of turn. Next turn, we draw. We have Stroke of Midnight. We still have Untimely Malfunction. We're going to go ahead and swing away. These are all 2/2s now, so we may as well swing with our 2/2s, right? And just run it in. And what we will do is we'll Stroke of Midnight someone's creature. Doing this all during combat is really weird. Yeah. And then that gets us, like, you know, 2 more or 4 more Legionnaires. You kind of get it. He's going to be lower to the ground. This probably isn't the most optimized build for him. I went heavily on the flavor of just building up these legions to defeat our enemies. But let me know what you think in the comments down below about both Scipio Africanus as a person. What do you know, or what do you think about the Punic War, the Second Punic War? Of course, the Third Punic War is the one where Rome finally finished off Carthage as a functioning state. and salted the earth and put a lot of their people to the sword. And let me know like how you're liking these historical commanders. I know they don't get a lot of views because like people aren't all that interested in custom cards, but I really love it, and I'm just going to keep doing it even if they get 0 views because I think it's fun. And as always, please remember that this was a real person in history who existed in the context of the times that they were in. We can't always hold people to modern standards based upon what they went through in their times. But as always, I am Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.